Hey, I'll see you on tour in Las Vegas, Chicago, and Grand Rapids. In Chicago, it's stand-up and a live panel show. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and make sure you go to jimmydore.com. Okay, so you see this, and a lot of people are starting to believe this cartoon, just so you know. And it's getting to the point where it's hard not to believe this cartoon. And why do I say this? Well, this is from CBS News. Snipers were stationed inside the building as the Trump shooter climbed to the roof. What? They had snipers, 3 snipers, not stationed on the roof, but they were inside the building. What were they going to snipe? If someone broke into the building? Were they shooting mice? What the? They had 3 snipers inside. Are these Uvalde snipers? Is that where these cops come from? This is real. I'm not making that up. I wouldn't find these. I wouldn't trust these snipers to find Waldo. And by the way, whatever here's my little tip to these snipers: whatever they're paying you, or paid you to play act this little scenario out, it's not going to be worth it for you in the long run. You know what they do to people once they don't need them anymore? Okay? Look what they did to Oswald, Jack Ruby. Just take a look. If I were these snipers, I would make statements immediately that I'm not suicidal. Here, this is real. This is another tweet from CBS News. One of the snipers inside the building that the shooter climbed on, one of the snipers inside saw the attempted assassin outside, looking up at the roof, observing the building, and disappearing. When you say disappear, you mean like David Blaine, David Copperfield? Kind of disappear? You mean that kind of disappear? You mean like he went like this and then he was gone? Or you just stopped looking, you couldn't see him anymore? He disappeared. What? Anything is possible if you believe in magic. Was this guy, Chris Angel, mind freak, disappeared? What do you mean disappeared? This is real. Watch this. Here's the story. There were 3 snipers stationed inside the building the shooter used during Saturday's shooting. The operations plan had them stationed inside the building, not on top of it, inside the building, looking out windows towards the Trump rally. Why inside the building? Why would you ever be inside the building? Why wouldn't you be outside the building looking at the Trump rally? Why would you be inside the building? Okay, so makes no sense. This doesn't make any sense. Unless this was some kind of nefarious plan. They had them inside the building looking out the windows. The information about 3 snipers being inside the building was first reported by BeaverCountian.com. Wow, that's quite a name. One of the snipers inside saw Thomas Matthew Crooks outside and looking up at the roof, observing the building, and then disappearing. Again, what kind of disappearing? When you say disappear, it means like you're looking at him and then he vanishes into thin air. That's disappear means. You mean then he walked out of your line of sight. That's much different than disappearing. No, I was walking out, all of a sudden he just disappeared into thin air. That's disappearing. I saw the guy and then he walked away and I couldn't see him no more. And so, that was that. I didn't jump through the window and go get him. I wonder what they did do. What did they do? Well, Crooks came back. The guy disappears according to them. So they lose sight of him. They do nothing. They don't jump through the window and go get him. They don't run outside the building. Crooks came back, sat down, and looked at his phone. At that point, one of the snipers took a picture of him. Well, you certainly want to put that in the scrapbook, right? You don't want to, I don't want to miss this. This is a guy who's about to shoot Trump. Let's get a picture of him. Let's not open the window and point our guns at him and tell him to get down. Let's not do that. Let's take a picture of him. This is, honest to God, it is, if it wasn't written by CBS News, I wouldn't believe this happened. There's nothing that Alex Jones ever said that it could come close to being as crazy as this. Or me, by the way. Reality is always stranger than fiction. So they take a picture of him. They don't open the window, point their guns at him, and tell him to get down. They just take a picture of him. What happens next? Well, Crooks then took out a rangefinder. And so then the sniper radioed to the command post. Again, the sniper didn't open the fucking window and point his sniper rifle at Crooks. Crooks disappeared again. He disappeared again. No, you mean he got up and walked away again without the sniper doing a fucking thing. He then came back a third time with a backpack. So these guys have seen this guy now 3 times. They've seen him with a scope, and now they see him with a backpack and a scope. And what do? Nothing. They don't do anything. They don't do anything. They don't do anything. The snipers called in with information that he had a backpack and said he was walking towards the back of the building. Why wouldn't you open the window? Why wouldn't you break the window? You just let this guy with a scope and a backpack walk around. You got 3 snipers inside the building. Are you only there to snipe people if they're inside the building? Officers believe that Crooks might have used an air conditioning unit to get on top of the roof. There was also a ladder that I'm sure wasn't just pre-planned and laid there for him. I'm sure. That would be crazy conspiratorial think. So he was there, but then he disappeared. So everything's okay. Oh, he's disappeared. There's no threat. The guy disappeared. Probably just some small game hunter who wants to catch a pigeon for dinner. By the time other officers came for backup, why did you need backup? Why did the 3 snipers inside the building not take matters into their own hands? They had to wait for backup. By the time the officers came for backup, he had climbed on top of the building. Oh, chagrin! We had to wait for backup. Why did you have to wait for backup? You have a rifle. Chagrin. He made it onto the roof. This is mental. So by the time the officers came for backup, he had climbed on top of the building and was positioned above and behind the snipers inside the building. I don't know what that means, behind the snipers inside the building. That doesn't make any sense. 2 other officers who heard... So the snipers did nothing. The snipers stayed inside the building. They were afraid. They're like Uvalde cops. Hey, there's a 20-year-old out there with a backpack and a rifle. I'm staying inside. You guys call some other cops. 2 other officers who heard the sniper's call tried to get onto the roof. State police started rushing to the... I'm going to show you a video of them rushing to the scene in a second. State police started rushing to the scene, but by that time, a Secret Service sniper had already killed Crooks. So they just let this guy walk into an area that they're supposed to have completely cordoned off. Completely. There's just some guy with a backpack, a rifle, and a scope just walking around, and nobody does anything. Does that sound believable to you? Because it doesn't sound believable to me. So was this one of those situations where they thought someone was pulling a joke on them? And so they ignored it? Like, they would, look, there's a guy out there with a scope. Okay, I bet it's a sniper. Oh, look, he disappeared for the third time. I ain't falling for this one. Let's watch. So here is CBS News interviewing the head of Secret Service, and listen to this bullshit.
Investigators now trying to determine whether roof access had been properly locked down. The shooter...
I'm going to guess it wasn't because a 20-year-old kid got on top of the roof with a rifle. They're trying to figure out if it... Hey, do you think we properly locked it down? Hey, do you think that door on that Alaskan Airlines jet was properly bolted? We're going to try and figure that out.
Coming up seemingly unimpeded.
Let's start from...
Investigators now trying to determine whether roof access had been properly locked down. The shooter climbing up seemingly unimpeded, about 400 feet from the stage, with a direct line of sight on the former president.
Should that roof have been secure, period?
That building in particular has a sloped roof at its highest point. And so, there's a safety factor that would be considered there, that we wouldn't want to put somebody up on a sloped roof. And so, the decision was made to secure the building from inside.
From inside? Are you afraid somebody's going to break in and steal something? You secured... By the way, that's called not securing the building, because someone was able to climb on top of the roof and shoot the president. We secured the building. I don't think you know what the word secured means. Secured would mean you'd have someone on the outside of the building patrolling the building. Having 3 numbskulls from Uvalde inside doing nothing is the opposite of securing the building.
Also to point out that she first came out and said that it wasn't under their jurisdiction.
Yeah, first she said it was. That's right.
And now she's saying that it was because it was a slope. That's suspicious.
Wait, you want to see what the slope looks like?
Whoa.
Look at that slope. This guy says, I'm surprised that law enforcement aren't wearing safety harnesses due to the extreme pitch of this roof. That's the slope. It wouldn't have been safe to have these guys up there on that slope. How are they doing it now? Do they have glue on their shoes?
And even after he was shot, he didn't fall off from the slope.
Is anybody supposed to believe this? Does anybody believe this Secret Service lady? Does anybody? Because now you have to believe this was a setup. You have to. For her to say, yeah, we thought about it, and it's too much of a slope. So we thought we'd put 3 snipers inside of a building. They see the guy 3 times. They do nothing. They wait for backup.
I see nothing.
Let's listen to the rest of this.
Investigators now trying to determine whether roof access had been properly locked down. The shooter climbing up seemingly unimpeded, about 400 feet from the stage, with a direct line of sight on the former president.
Should that roof have been secure, period?
That building in particular has a sloped roof at its highest point. And so, there's a safety factor that would be considered there, that we wouldn't want to put somebody up.
We wouldn't have anybody risk their lives to save the president. By the way, that's completely bullshit.
A sloped roof. And so, the decision was made to secure the building from inside.
Cheeto says the Secret Service was responsible for the inner perimeter of the rally, where Trump was. But local police were responsible for the outer perimeter, where the gunman was located.
So that's the latest story. Well, guess what? The sheriff says the building used by shooter wasn't our responsibility. A Pennsylvania sheriff said his agency wasn't responsible for protecting or securing the building that the shooter used to attack Saturday's rally. So I'm going to guess the Secret Service lady is lying and is a saboteur of our country. Is that too much to say? That's my guess. CBS Pittsburgh station KDKA-TV reporter Andy Sheehan asked Butler County Sheriff's Michael Sloop if there was enough communication from the Secret Service about securing that building. I can't speak to that. Well, why would you? Why would the sheriff be able to speak to that? You know, as far as the building goes, I don't know because it wasn't our responsibility. But they did have a very good briefing, Sloop told KDKA-TV. And like I said earlier, somewhere along the line, you have a briefing and you identify, adapt, and overcome. And there are a lot of well-trained police officers that totally have the ability to do that. So all these well-trained police officers, 3 snipers inside the building, see them 3 times, do absolutely nothing. Well, how is that guy allowed to get in there?
How is that area not cordoned off?
Well, that's the whole thing. And how when the sniper, at the very least, see a guy with a scope and a backpack disappear, he doesn't go code red, get the president off the stage, lock it down till we find this guy. They don't do that. Sloop also said his agency wasn't asked to sweep that building. No, the sheriff's office was not asked to do that, and I don't know whose responsibility that would have been if that was in their plan. Boy, these guys really know how to do their job, I'll tell you that. Here's a local official describes police conference. So there was 2 cops. So the cops inside the building didn't do anything. The snipers, they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. So they called for backup instead of just pointing their rifle through the window and telling the guy to get down. They didn't do anything. They called for backup. So then you want to see the bunch of Keystone cops? Here's the backup. Watch this. Watch this. There's a fence, and none of these cops know how to get over or through this fence. They just stand there. They're just standing there. And then they get a car to kind of try to break the fence open. Look at them all standing there. These are the highly trained cops.
And nobody's helping somebody get over the fence.
And by the way, what they should have done, right at the gate is where it's the most reinforced. What you're supposed to do, you go take one of those poles out and just anyway. But these are the cops. They called for back. They couldn't. How did that guy get in there? How did the shooter get through this fence? If you got 40 cops sitting around with their thumb up their ass, waiting for another guy to drive through the fence with his car, and he can't even do that. Like, why wouldn't you have the guy floor it? Now they bring this guy over with some kind of cutter thing.
And nobody's still getting over the fence.
Nobody's still getting over the fence. Now they're trying to climb underneath it. Look at this. And then they come to another fence. They're like, oh, what do we do over here? Single file, everybody. Single file. No pushing. No pushing. Single file. This is real. This is real. These are the people that they had protecting the policeman, the president. So here's the local official. Here's what he has to say. Here's what he is.
Did in fact see an individual on the roof with a weapon.
He saw the shooter.
I like how he says they did in fact see an individual. You mean you saw the shooter? At least the news person knows to say that. You mean they saw the shooter? An individual. So he admits, yeah, they saw the shooter. And what'd they do? They saw
Did in fact see an individual on the roof with a weapon.
He saw the shooter.
He did.
Your officers are on patrol. They hear that there is a suspicious person on the rooftop. What did your officers do?
So our officers in the area started to converge on the building. My understanding is they did a full...
So, nothing. They didn't do anything. They did a full perimeter
walk of the building. Weren't able to see up on the roof.
They weren't able to see up on the roof. Well, somehow that kid, that 20-year-old shooter, was able to get up on the roof. Why weren't the cops? There was a ladder there.
Two of the officers went to what appeared to be the lowest point from ground to roof. One of the officers actually boosted.
Everybody there saw the guy on the roof. I showed you the video and other videos. Regular people just standing there said, hey, there's a guy on the roof. Everybody saw the guy, except the cops. Everybody there saw the guy on the roof for at least 3 minutes, except the cops. Oh, we couldn't see him. We couldn't see on the roof. Everybody else could.
The second officer up high enough for him to grab hold of the roof. When he was able to pull his head up over the roof, he did in fact see an individual on the roof with a weapon.
He saw the shooter.
He did.
And what did the shooter do?
Turned towards him, had the barrel of his weapon pointed at the officer.
At that point, the officer's hanging on
Yes.
to the side of the roof?
Yes.
Unable to pull a gun out.
Unable to
Defend himself. Unable to reach his radio.
Any of that. Yeah.
Well, that was
Strictly defensive movement for him to lower his head, duck, lost his own grip, right? Fell approximately 8 feet to the ground.
That's a steep drop.
It's a good drop, yes.
Did he get hurt?
He did.
In that moment, did they realize there's a threat right now to the former president?
They did. So both the boosting officer and the officer that fell were both on the radio, indicating that there was an individual on the roof that did in fact have a weapon.
Who did they radio?
So there was a blanket tactical channel being
Everyone
used.
heard it.
Everyone that was on that tactical channel heard.
So everybody knows that there's a guy with a rifle on the roof 150 yards away from the president. Everybody knows. Everybody hears. So those snipers that actually shot, they heard that too. So all the Secret Service heard. Nobody says, Code Red, get the president down. Nobody.
Yes.
How much time between that radio communication and the gun being fired at the former president?
That I don't have that information.
I don't know. I don't have that information. Oh, well, you know that crucial piece of information? Don't know. You know the thing that most everybody wants to know? Yeah. Those guys, they're not qualified to be cops in the Village People. This is real. This is all happening. And everyone's acting like it's normal. Look at these idiots. Look at these idiots.
If they were chasing somebody with a bunch of drugs, they'd all be over that fence. All they have to do is give somebody a hand up over that fence. It's not a high fence. It doesn't seem urgent.
Hit it like you mean it.
At all. Why? First of all, why wouldn't the guy why would he stop driving? Why is he just nudging the fence?
I think they should all stand closer.
Why wouldn't he just drive over the fence? Look at them all just standing there.
This is ridiculous. You see that guy's Gary has a helmet on? This is pathetic.
This is hilarious.
How can I get through that one?
Yeah, so just to recap, 3 snipers inside that building saw the guy 3 different times, did absolutely nothing. They didn't have a sniper on top because the head of the Secret Service said it was too much of a slope. It was too much of a slope. That was too much of a slope. It'd be too dangerous for a policeman to be up there. Too much of a slope. And the Secret Service says it was up to local police to secure that building, and the local police say it wasn't. Okay.
Look at the rifles that they're holding.
I know.
Look at the automatic weapons that they have.
That they
Look
won't-
that they're in
I know.
their gear and everything like that, and they couldn't get over a fence.
Hey, guess what? Our sponsor, Colonial Metals, helped me with my goal of protecting my financial future. Being at the whim of the stock market or the current administration doesn't make me feel safe or secure, but having a self-directed IRA, that's a self-directed IRA where I can safely store gold and silver, assets that have stood the test of time, no matter what the economy or the government policies are, that makes sense to me. It does. Colonial Metals Group has helped me create a self-directed IRA where I can have direct access to my assets. Let the team of experts over at CMG help you protect your family's future. Their level of professionalism and the ability to listen make it easy for you to learn everything you need to know about preserving all you've worked for. Maybe you're just getting started, or maybe you already have a 401k or an IRA, and you're thinking about your parents' retirement. Regardless, Colonial Metals Group, they can help. We put together a special offer for you, for our audience. Click on the link in the description below, or call the special 800 number, and you'll receive a safe and up to $10,000 in free silver. Go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/Jimmy's-Dore-Show or call 888-910-1419. 888-910-1419. Hey, I'll see you on tour in Las Vegas, Chicago, and Grand Rapids. In Chicago, it's stand-up and a live panel show. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and make sure you go to jimmydore.com.